Ja Morant is going to the Portland Trailblazers. My goodness, what a trade. You could have knocked me over with a feather when this puppy broke yesterday. It is interesting when you look at Ja, and you know, Ja Morant over the last 3 years, never available, only played 70 plus games because of injuries, and obviously you think about everything that transpired with off the court issues and guns, and frankly, you know, he wasn't a good teammate or a good guy, and didn't do right by the great fans of the Memphis Grizzlies. So, you know, it's kind of crazy to consider it was Desmond Bane and it was Jarrett Jackson Jr. and Ja Morant. And there was that period of time, right, where, you know, you kind of felt like the Grizz can go on a run and or win the West and or win a chip 2024, 2025. And Ja just absolutely torpedoed everything. So, you know, I'm not a Ja Morant fan based upon what he did and did to the organization and did to the fans in Memphis. Loved him in college. Was sad when the Knicks got the third pick and Ja went to. Wanted him on the Knicks in the worst possible way. Not going to pretend that I didn't. So I'm not a Ja fan based upon Memphis. I do believe in second chances. Change of scenery here for Ja Morant, I believe, is fantastic. Now, it's an interesting fit because you have Dame, and obviously you have, you know, Sharp, and you have Devi, and you have a lot of ball players who kind of do the same things in Portland. Damian Lillard is going to be back, and I hope that Ja Morant learns from him. You know, originally we thought Portland was going to do something big with regards to Jaylen Brown. That's not going to be the case. I just checked my watch. It's Dame time. That's pretty great. Devi became an all-star. I'm a big fan of what he brings to the table. You know, I'll be curious. There are some insiders who still think that Jaylen Brown could be headed to Portland. They're not out of the woods on that yet. You know, I love Devi. I absolutely love what he brings to the table, and I'm going to be fascinated to see how this all plays out. Could Drew Holiday be traded somewhere? You know, that certainly is a topic for conversation. You know, the Trailblazers, you know, made the playoffs this past year, needed some juice, needed some pop, needed some sizzle. The Jaylen Brown situation is interesting, and Chris Haynes gave me this nugget. It's worth watching Denver as a team. Denver could be the team that ends up being in the mix for Jaylen Brown. I thought Portland made a ton of sense. I'm still not going to eliminate that, but I think the probability is much less than what it was 24 hours ago with the Ja Morant stunner. But, you know, Brown going to a team like Denver in a Jamal Murray trade, maybe this is a domino effect in how it relates to the Trailblazers. Then you could see Drew Holiday traded to Denver. They would need a point guard. So that will be pretty interesting to see how this plays out. Look, for Memphis, it's Boozer's team. It's Boozer's show. Obviously, they had to move on. There were such high hopes for Ja. He was a bad guy and a bad teammate and prioritized nonsense and garbage. I hope it sticks for him in Portland. It's an interesting fit from a basketball perspective. They got a lot of guys in that backcourt. I mean, if you play Dame and you play Ja in the same backcourt, I mean, it's got to be one of the shortest backcourts in the history of the NBA, right? I mean, that's just weird. And John needs the ball in his hands, and Dame needs the ball in his hands, and Devi needs the ball in his hands, and Drew Holiday is a quintessential point guard. So, hell if I know. Also, not my problem. So I think it makes sense for Portland because they needed a dude. They need to take a step forward. They certainly, I mean, you know, Jeremy Grant, Syracuse legend, you know, him and Murray, that's all they have to trade. So it's kind of a no-brainer from that perspective. But I get it. I like it. I hope it clicks on and off the court for Ja. Color me a little skeptical in terms of matching up the positions as we sit right now when you look at the Trailblazers roster. The Knicks were in the news yesterday with a transaction of their own. Oh, baby, Landry Shamet's Instagram was on fire after he signed a 4-year, $24 million deal to return to the Knicks. And listen, this comes a couple days after our guy Jose Alvarado agreed to terms on a 3-year deal worth about $14 million. And I'm not surprised that Shamet came back. I think it could have gotten more on the open market. Miami was rumored to be that team that can be interested in Landry Shamet. They need championship experience. They need to fill out a backcourt. the back page of the New York Post. Bravo. I mean, wham, bam, thank you, Sham, and there's a dollar sign for the S. Yes, yes, absolutely, positively perfect. And look, the Knicks should run it back. I think in a lot of ways, the Knicks are going to be better when you take a look at it in the regular season. And Shamet was absolutely tough, clutch in the playoffs, especially the first 3 rounds, especially in the Philly and most especially in the Cleveland series. Landry Shamet is a Mike Brown favorite, fights through screens, plays defense. He's not one of those guys where if he doesn't play in a game where he loses confidence or rhythm. He's a great teammate, great guy. I'm obsessed with all the clips we're seeing with him and John Turturro and the Young Man in the 3 podcast. It's just absolutely awesome. I can't get enough. So I'm thrilled that Shamet is coming back. And I'm going to be curious to see what happens here with Mitchell Robinson. We said Alvarado would come back. We said Shamet would come back. And again, Steph Bondy reported that it's unlikely that Mitchell Robinson comes back. I just want to stress this with regards to Mitch, okay? I love Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson is not a starting center. He's just not. And the more minutes he plays, you don't want him being a 25-plus guy in terms of minutes. You want him in that 10 to 25 range. Bad offensive player, off injured, but he's an energizer bunny, and I love him, and I'm completely obsessed. I can't get enough. So I would love to see Robinson back. I think for him, you take less money. You stay with the Knicks your entire career. You have a 6-figure job for life as John Starks or as Larry Johnson or Bernard King. You're one of those guys on the courtside seats, and you're shaking people's hands and you're cheering everyone on. Once a Knick, always a Knick, celebrity row. Like, that's how I would advise Mitchell Robinson. Sign a longer-term deal for less money. Get under the second apron. That's what I want to see. But man, as someone who just can't stop smiling with regards to the championship, and I'm watching every single Instagram reel and all the celebrations, having Landry Shamet back in the fold, I pumped my fist, I screamed out loud, it made my day. Run it back, baby. Go New York, go New York, go.